know you're tired. I know you're hurting. And I wish I could say something that was classy and inspirational. But that just wouldn't be our style. Pain heals. Chicks dig scars. Glory lasts forever. Right on. Shotgun. DC right. Flip 90. Dig. On the center. On the center. Ready?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in to another episode of the Air Raid Hour. My name is Steve Mathis. You can find me, as always, on Twitter at Judge Mathis, and I am joined, as always, by my co-host Dave Tilton. You can find him on Twitter at Tilt Money, and together we are the Bills guys. Now, you might notice something looks a little bit different tonight. And what looks different is a cartoon character picture of my face. And that is because I am currently in Buffalo right now, my hometown of Grand Island, New York, sitting in my childhood bedroom, which is now my mother's office. And Spectrum Wi-Fi sucks. So I am doing this show from my phone. So hopefully there won't be too many glitches there. But how's your day going, Dave?
Well, I'm on a better Wi-Fi than you, it would seem. No, weather's great here in North Carolina this week. We were in the 70s today and sunny. I was watching the Players earlier, golf tournament. Obviously, the ton of news broke today. Somebody signed with the Bills. I don't know. Well, we might talk about it. And no, it's been good. But I will say about on your side, the audio, there's no real clicks or lag there. So as long as that kind of stays intact, I think you're good. Let me give a shout out to everyone who has joined us so far already in the chat. Conversations are rolling right now, even before we went on. Scott Blakely, Omble Rob, Angel Garcia, Earth Rocker, Kyle Solis. I saw Pierre was in the house. We've got Brian Bowers in the house. We've got Spin 0481, James FX90. We've got Andy Koloski. We've got, let's see who else is in here. I mentioned Brian, Craig Taintich, of course.
We know
Richard
it's you, Randy.
We know it's Randy. Daniel Gowries is in here. Elliot is in here. Bills guys and KB, John Herring. We've got a ton of people in the house tonight. So, it's going to be a good one.
And just so people know, our Facebook feed very much expired. So if you guys could let the people know on Facebook, tonight's show will be YouTube only until we can get that reconnected. So if you know anyone who typically watches over on the Facebook, hit them up, tell them to come on over here to YouTube and join the party here. But Matt Milano, 4 years, $44 million contract. And the good thing is that it's only $7 million cap hit this season. Yep. What are your thoughts on Matt Milano re-signing with the Bills? Shows how much we know, right?
I mean, look, contract details came out. Very favorable, in my opinion. The numbers for the Bills set up to kind of have them at a decent cap number in 2021. And a move that I think we had all, I mean, look, anybody who says like the Bills were definitely going to re-sign Milano, like they're lying to themselves, because like pretty much everyone kind of figured that there was really only a small window or a small kind of a chance that he would be back based on the comments that being made, which all but indicated that he would walk in free agency. Now, things have changed somewhat with the salary cap situation and guys getting cut all around the league. And, you see guys kind of losing their jobs. So Milano sits there, and I forgot who said it. It might have been Matt Perino or Nate Geary. I can't remember. So I'll give whoever it is the credit, but they basically said like Milano probably had this offer on the table from the Bills a while back, and then based on how things transpired, it's likely that he kind of looked at that and was like, "This is a really good offer, and I'm gonna stay." So I don't know if that's true. That's just speculation, what
Yeah.
people kind of have been saying. But like honestly, once again, Bean finds a way to make it good for both the team and the player. And really the key thing here was the 2021 number, right? Like you said, it's only a $7 million cap hit in 2021, which should, once Spotrac updates it, in my calculations, give the Bills right around 8 million in cap space still for 2021. So that's
I,
obviously pending no other moves, but that's kind of
yeah.
where it looks like it will be right now.
I feel like it's safe to assume. I know I no longer want to assume anything after this Matt Milano deal, but I think it's safe to assume that Lee Smith is going to either retire or be cut. So that
Hmm.
should bump it up back into the double digits around $10 million. But I was prepared to come on and say the same exact thing that you said. It was actually Nate Geary of WGR 550 who tweeted that.
Yeah. Yeah.
He speculated, but then Josina Anderson came out today, and this was a tweet from Josina Anderson just a couple hours ago, right after the Matt Milano signed. Sources say some with the Bills were pleasantly surprised that linebacker Matt Milano chose not to go to the market. They emphasize hearing how important the culture in Buffalo is to Milano and his feeling that the team is so close to taking the next big step. Huge re-sign for them. That's huge to me. I mean, I think a whole bunch goes into it. I think a whole bunch plays into it. I think if
Hmm.
it wasn't a COVID offseason, he's probably looking at $4 million more per year on average. That might make the open market a little bit more enticing. I think if it's not a COVID year, there are more teams with money, maybe more competitive teams with money, because most of the teams outside like the Cleveland Browns that are competitive don't have too much money to spend. So
Right.
Matt Milano looks at this like, yeah, I'll stay in Buffalo, continue living my minimalist lifestyle, and bank
Mm,
this $44 million in my bank account, and actually win some football games. So
mm.
I think a bunch of things came together to help this move, come to fruition. But you know me, now I'm worrying. Now I'm worrying. Do we
I
have
know.
enough money to
I know you
sign?
are.
Do we have enough money to sign Darrell Williams? Are we going to be starting two rookies on the offensive line? Like, where do the Buffalo Bills go from here with only $10 million to spend? By the way, we also got to pay for our rookie. So really, like what, $4 million to spend?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what they need to do is they need to take a long, hard look at two guys that are still on the roster. You mentioned Lee Smith. If Lee Smith is cut, that is a $2.5 million, $2.25 million savings with no dead cap hit. So that'll get you back up, close, another 2 million. But the two guys the Bills really need to take a look at now because, obviously Vernon Butler was restructured, so there's not any sort of immediate thought that he's going to be cut now after that is Mario Addison and Tyler Matakevich, right? You're talking about 3.7 against the cap for Tyler Matakevich this year. If you cut him, it's only a 350K dead cap. We know how important special teams is to the Bills, and we know how good he was. But $3.7 million for a special teams player is pricey in a COVID year. And then Mario Addison's contract sitting out there, sticking out like a sore thumb. That's the big one left. Obviously, that there's a $4 million dead cap hit if you cut him, but it's about six-ish million-dollar savings that you would add to your cap space if you get rid of Mario Addison. So there are ways for the Bills to free up enough space to, let's say, bring back one of the two of Darrell Williams or John Feliciano. Like even just cutting Lee Smith or Tyler Matakevich or both of those guys without touching Addison, you probably get close to having enough to bring Darrell Williams back before you get to the rookies. But like Mario Addison is the one to me, man. If you want to free up some space to be able to bring back Darrell Williams or John Feliciano, he's the one that either needs to be gone or because I don't know that a restructure for him unless you convert like his entire base salary into like a signing bonus or a roster bonus is going to really free up that much space for you. So those are the three names that kind of stand out to me as the last bit of big wiggle room you have if you're the Bills to try to free up some space to help with that offensive line. Because like you said, I am a little bit worried now. I don't understand. I personally don't understand. Well, I do understand, but I personally don't like the idea of like, oh, well, that this gives us potentially option to re-sign Feliciano. Like, well, why are we changing our tune now? Like, why are we still not saying, well, why shouldn't we still try to re-sign Darrell Williams? If you told me that of all the UFAs we had with this cap strap offseason that everyone was going to walk except we'd have Darrell Williams and Matt Milano back, I would have said, sure. Like, and whatever else happens. I would have been fine with that. So,
yeah, I mean, this team can be competitive if you think about it. If we bring Darrell Williams back, Matt Milano back, and then draft the rest of the guys. But I mean, it really hasn't hit me yet, but like there's only 51 players, 52 now, I think, with Matt Milano signing, like actually on the roster. So, between the draft picks and the couple of free agents we signed, the Buffalo Bills are legitimately going to be bringing in like 30 undrafted free agents to compete for a spot on this team, which is, there are going to be some names that you've never heard of. I guess maybe that replacements intro at the beginning of the show
it's
was fitting.
appropriate. Yeah,
So get to know these guys at the bottom half of the draft because a ton of them are going to end up. Start rewatching the XFL games from last year. Start to get to know some of those names. Maybe Cam Phillips will make a comeback. But yeah, Truth to Heart's going with the super chat. Truth to Heart's always appreciate you. Says, I didn't know Milano was coming back, but I knew the only teams that would have been able to pay him wasn't playoff teams. Yeah, I honestly think that's what brought him back to Buffalo. So it's just sort of a perfect storm of situations. And here's the thing too. Salary cap could go up $30 million next year. So all these teams that find themselves cash strapped this year are going to find themselves flush with cash next year. So it might just help this team out when the salary cap does go up, next season. So got a couple people in here. I know Buffalo Fanatics. I think it was Bobby coming into the chat saying, can't cut Tyler Matakevich. We're dropping his interview that Rico did with him tomorrow. So a little spoiler, Rico's got a ton of interviews already done with a bunch of Buffalo Bills players. Some really interesting stuff, and we'll be dropping those things over the next 2-3 weeks. So keep it right on here at Buffalo Fanatics for player interviews. Nobody, and I mean nobody, can get a player talking like Rico. So it's truly truly a fun thing to watch. But speaking of, Andrew Miller says Sean Oakman. I think he might be in prison. I don't know. Did he? I don't know if he ever actually went to jail for what he was accused of, but maybe. Oh no, you know what? I think he was playing in the AAF, so I think he's out. I don't think maybe he got found not guilty. So I'm trying to think of all the XFL guys. I think all the good ones signed places, but speaking of free agency, we were going to talk about defensive free agents today. And we didn't. We changed the title of our show. We had a graphic and everything ready to roll with pictures of like Shaquille Griffin and Carl Lawson. I think it's safe to say maybe those guys might be out of the picture. But according to the Indianapolis Star, the Buffalo Bills do have interest in one defensive free agent, and that is Danico Autry. And according to the Indianapolis Star, a league source with specific knowledge about Autry, despite a crowded defensive line market, Autry is expected to draw significant interest at the outside of the new league year. At least 5 teams, the New York Jets, Baltimore Ravens, New England Patriots, Carolina Panthers, and Buffalo Bills, are expected to show interest. Danico Autry, 7.5 sacks last season. He's got that inside-outside flex, so he's sort of more of a power player. To me, I think we're hanging on to Mario Addison until we can ensure that we have another defensive lineman under contract. Like if we go out and we chase Danico Autry, or the other guy I have pictured here, who's a similar player, in my opinion, in Terrell Basham, who I really like from the New York Jets, we go out and chase sort of those mid-tier defensive ends. We don't get one, then I think maybe Mario Addison stays on this roster, at least until the bargain bin parts of free agency, where maybe a guy is still sticking around. What are your thoughts on the Autry news, and what are your thoughts on the future of Mario Addison?
I mean, it makes sense, right? I mean, the Bills were clearly in on J.J. Watt. Like, I have to think that if the Bills had signed J.J. Watt, that Mario Addison would be out of the picture. Randy, a.k.a. Craig, says Addison post June 1st cut. It's likely, right? I mean, it's likely. So I think what they're trying to do is ensure that they have somebody in the building before they do that. Now, they do have to be under the cap by March 17th, I believe, is the date I saw. They actually have to be under the salary cap by then. So they don't really have a ton of time to sign a guy and then kind of figure out what to do. They kind of need to make sure they're under the cap quickly. And so I don't really know if there's 5 teams, I should say, that are in on Autry. I don't really know what his sort of market value is going to be, but I would have to think that it's probably not going to be close to what we're paying for Mario Addison. So let's say, even half of that, like $5-ish million a year. It might be more, but probably maybe around that. Then that's another savings that you can kind of put. Now, the only problem with that is, let's say you signed the Nico Autry to a $5-6 million a year. You cut Mario Addison. Yes, you save the $6 million in his salary, but you get the $4 million dead cap hit. So you're kind of right back to where you started with the $10 million. So it's just a matter of player at that point, whether or not you feel like in reality in 2021, Danico Autry is worth $10 million in the sense that you might sign him for 4 or 5 and also cut Mario Addison in a corresponding move, because in reality, that is costing you $10 million. So that's where I kind of get a little tripped up, and I kind of lean more towards going to the draft for something like that. But again, if you want to ensure you have something before you cut him, fine. But the problem you're going to run into, I think, is if okay, you're going to do that. Maybe you really like someone in the draft, then you sign someone. You're not going to just cut the guy you just signed. So you're almost back to square one. And this is where I get really kind of I don't know which side I prefer. I almost would prefer to just cut Addison and take our chances in the draft, honestly, if it was me.
Well, the issue I have, and we're going to get to Scott Vandeloo's chat here, and I'll bring it up when we get to Scott's super chat, which I can't click on. So if you want to click on it,
yeah, I got it. I got
it. I think my computer. I'm looking at comments on my computer, and I'm talking on my phone. But he says, "Do you think Antonio Williams is a good shot at making the team next year? This will be his second year as a Buffalo Bill. I like his speed, agility, especially with Moss coming off the injury. And here's the thing." I think he does. Now, the Buffalo Bills were at Clemson's pro day, and Travis Etienne is a guy who will be around pick 30 if he's still on the board. Might interest the Buffalo Bills. Obviously, we talked about Najee Harris, Javonte Williams. I think Javonte is the best of the 3, but that's just my opinion. But you look at the holes on this team now. Butker, Bojo, and Levi Wallace have not been tendered yet. Obviously, that can change by Monday. So if the Bills are trying to lowball them and get them below $2 million and let them hit the market and they walk, all of a sudden it's Cody Ford is your left guard right now. There's no Ike Bucker behind him for competition, who we know played well last year. Jordan Debbie is your right guard, and Ryan Bates is your right tackle. That's your depth chart right now if you're the Buffalo Bills along the offensive line. Right now, Dane Jackson is your CB2. So there are holes on this roster that need to be filled. So right now, when I look at the draft, it's hard for me to think about best player available, especially when it comes to protecting Josh Allen. When it comes to protecting Josh Allen, you got to do it. He's your franchise quarterback. So, I'm at the point where, if Owosu Koromoa is on the board on the Buffalo Bills, I might pass on him for Jalen Mayfield. Why? Because right now, Ryan Bates is protecting the blind side of my quarterback. And that's not ideal. But that being said, Scott, that could all change by the draft. But if that doesn't change and there are still significant holes on this roster, I think Antonio Williams is the clear-cut RB3, and he will compete with, in my opinion, Devin Singletary to be the active running back on game days. I think Zach Moss is going to be the feature back next year. I just have a hunch that that's the direction the Buffalo Bills are going in. But in essence, it'll be a 3-way competition every week. And whoever starts fumbling, whoever, can't get to the line of scrimmage quick enough is going to see the bench. And so I think Antonio Williams is going to have a good shot as any to be on the 53-man roster next year.
And when you do that, it frees you up in the draft, right? You don't have to worry about taking that running back early or even taking a running back at all, because you mentioned there are holes and they need to be filled. And the best, most cost-effective way to fill holes in your roster is through the draft. I mean, that's the most cost-effective way to fill holes. Whether or not you're going to get a guy that's a stud and starts every game and is above that's to be determined. But your best chance of actually finding someone who can be a serviceable player on sort of very limited dollars, in quantity, is through the draft. Now, in another year or so, that may be different. You may have a ton more cap space in 2022 where you can be more selective and a little more aggressive in free agency, kind of like we were, the 2 years prior. But this year is different. So if you can kind of cross running back off the list of needs and kind of just say we're okay with Antonio Williams competing for that spot, then it's one less thing you got to worry about in free agency in the draft. So I'm kind of with you on that.
Yeah, it should be really interesting, and we'll talk defensive free agents again in a little bit. But I want to shift the focus here now to a couple of other things. Speaking of the defense, I said this on Twitter when the thing was announced. The wrong kid died. If anyone's ever seen that movie, Dewey Cox, Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox story, father always talks about how the wrong kid died. Well, in my opinion, the wrong Buffalo Bill was cut as the Buffalo Bills announced they were keeping keeping Vernon Butler after a pay cut and letting Quentin Jefferson walk and saving that cap space. Do you think the Buffalo Bills made the right move here, keeping Vernon Butler over Quentin Jefferson?
I don't, but let me just quickly get to Truth to Hearts super chat here. He says,
Oh, okay.
Bean said
I
you
also
don't
can't
want to.
remove the background, so because my internet's bugging again.
All right, I can do that too. Yes. So he says, Bean said you don't want to draft need, and I get that to an
We get
extent.
it.
Yeah, I mean, when you're a good team, the way to kind of keep stacking talent is to not draft really for need, but is to really draft the best player available, assuming that there's a path for them to contribute, right? I mean, if you have you've already have a stud wide receiving core, then you're probably not going to draft another
Unless you're the
receiver.
Cowboys.
Yeah. Well, now the Cowboys right? If you have Cooper, Gallup, and Lamb, you're probably not drafting a receiver. But again, who knows? But to answer your question, yeah, I do think so. But I was trying to justify it yesterday with Bot on his show to say look, I mean, with Epinesa there, and you still have Addison on the roster, and you've got Jerry Hughes, and you've got I mean, you have some semblance of okay talent at the end position. The thing that you lose obviously is the flexibility, right? The inside outside flexibility that Jefferson brought you. And analytically, he was a good player, right? In 2020. So whatever you believe about analytics, it pretty much showed that Jefferson was a better player. Now, the reason I think they kept Butler is because I feel like they want to have some insurance at that defensive tackle position in the case where maybe Harrison Phillips still isn't all the way back from that ACL 2 years later. Maybe Starr is not going to be what he was after a year of not playing. So I can kind of understand why they kept him, because it looks like, at least on the surface, that the Bills are trying to turn over a little bit that defensive end position. They went after JJ Watt, right? They they are in on Danico Autry. So it seems to me like they are trying to turn over that end position more.
Mm-hmm.
And I know Jefferson had the inside outside flex, but I think that to me is why, in my mind, how I'm justifying why the Bills kept Butler over Jefferson.
And that was the thing too. I was reading Joe Biscaglia's mock offseason for The Athletic, and he said, listen, Quentin Jefferson was one of the top 10, pass rush win rate guys last season. That statistic is awesome, especially for a team and a fan base that wants to get after the quarterback. But he was god awful in run defense. So that is probably the reason why he was excised and Vernon Butler was not. Vernon Butler, Brian Bowers makes a great point. They're probably wondering what Starr will be. You mentioned Harrison Phillips as well. So, to me, bringing back Butler is bringing back that beef, as someone mentioned up earlier in the comment section. Danico Autry, JJ Watt, the two guys the Buffalo Bills have been linked to, both have 3-tech defensive end flex. So it does look like the Buffalo Bills are trying to add that power player. And Andrew Miller comes in and says, I think cutting Jefferson was the better move. He also talks about Butler being able to back up the 1-tech, Oliver and Harrison at the 3-tech, and Zimmer as the swing guy. And Zimmer is the interesting name there, because I think this season's all going to be – I think our Super Bowl hopes this season depend on development, like whether it's Justin Zimmer or AJ Epinesa or Daryl Johnson. You throw Tyrell Dodson in there, probably don't have to anymore. Dane Jackson. Saran Neal if Dean Marlowe can't be retained, or Jaquan Johnson if Dean Marlowe can't be retained. Isaiah Hodgins on the offensive side of the ball. Reggie Gilliam, Antonio Williams. Like the Buffalo Bills could be counting on some of these guys that have been on this team for a couple of years now to
Mhm.
take that next step and to develop into either role players or starters. Because, hey, it's all hands on deck with this COVID cap.
It is, and it just it does make me nervous though. Like I keep coming back to like, you know, I'm glad the Bills have kind of shown that they're kind of going after that defensive line, but it does make me a little nervous that we've heard nothing, not even about like Feliciano or Williams or even the Bills linked to anything with the offensive line. That makes me a little nervous. So I know we're talking defensive side of the ball right now, but like I hope they have a plan to at least address that. And like the defensive side of the ball, I'm kind of like okay, you know, cutting Jefferson, it saved money, I get it, but it seems like the Bills are not done. Like just like you said with Autry, Watt, the draft, like they're not done addressing the defensive line. So I would expect that there are more moves to come, which could end up resulting in Mario Addison being gone. So we'll see
Yeah.
about that.
And you know, you mentioned I really hope the Bills have a plan. I think they have a plan. I think what we all hope was we wish we would just knew the plan. Like we all wish we knew the plan. Then we could breathe easy and sleep easier night. But talking about guys who need to step up, you know, there was a tweet, I believe it was from Field Yates or Jeff Darlington, one of those guys. He said Sean McDermott's first draft class, Deion Dawkins re-signed, extended. Trey White re-signed, extended.
Yeah,
Matt
that was
Milano
Field Yates.
re-signed,
Yeah.
extended. Like what a haul to get 3 cornerstone players in a draft class. And then I thought to myself, who were the first 3 picks of the Buffalo Bills in last year's draft? Zach Moss or AJ Epinesa. We need him to step up and become a good player on this defensive line next year for us to probably most likely have success. Zach Moss. We're going to need him to step up next year and become a solid feature running back and a guy we can depend on in that backfield and a guy we can depend on for more yards per carry and a guy we can depend on for, chunk plays if we're going to be successful, most likely. And then last but not least, Gabriel Davis. We're going to need him. He had a lot of good games this year, but, Clayton Garrett of Cold Front Report, posted a tweet today. He was pretty invisible when John Brown wasn't there. The team was 5-0, but Gabriel Davis never had more than 3 catches. So Gabriel Davis has things about his game that he needs to work on. I'm convinced he will work on those things, and I'm convinced he will get better at those things, but it still needs to happen. So if those 3 guys can turn the corner and step into like legitimate players in the National Football League, and we hit on all 3 of those picks, next year might not look as grim as it looks like in certain spots because of this COVID cap.
And just think about that for a second. Having your first 3 picks hit in back-to-back drafts, I mean, that's really like kind of unheard of. Like, yeah, maybe 1 or 2 or even maybe like 50%, but like we know the draft, like it's like baseball batting average, right? Like you fail 7 out of 10 times and you're still considered good as a hitter in baseball. That's kind of the analogy I use when it comes to the draft. Like if you hit on like 30%, or a third of your draft picks, like that's pretty good if those of a third of your draft picks become like, steady, regular, above average contributors. And the Bills have potential for their first 3 picks in back-to-back drafts to be all very important key contributors. It would be pretty incredible to see. And there's no reason for us to think they can't based on what we saw at the end of last season. Zach Moss, he had his moments. Epinesa at the end of the season was looking pretty good. And Gabriel Davis looked good all year. So I think there's optimism. We should have some optimism for those 3.
Yeah, we got Chewy Baca coming in saying, do we go after a running back or a defensive end in the first round? No offense, Chewy Baca, right now, unless we do something in the free agency, I really hope it's something that addresses the offensive line, specifically offensive tackle. I've done 2 mocks today on the TDN, and both times I couldn't look past your boy Jalen Mayfield at pick number 30. Jalen Mayfield is a guy, and here's the thing, though. Like, drafting Jalen Mayfield is probably going to be the best player on the board at 30 because this is a guy who in 2019 played amazing football in the Big Ten and went, like, as a freshman, as a young guy, went up against the Chase Youngs of the world and a bunch of really good high-end pass rushers. And he held his own as like an 18-year-old kid. But then last year, Some injuries sort of, brought his season down. He only played 2 games, but in those 2 games, he dominated. So this is a kid who is 20, 21 years old, who could be our right tackle for the next decade. I mean, this guy could be legitimately dominant. Talk about those sort of developmental-ish players, the guy who have all the tools but just need to put it together. Jalen Mayfield is right there as a guy who, despite only 15 picks or 15 starts in college, could be a top 5 overall talent if he can put it all together at the pro level. Having such little experience at the college level, that's gonna be the hard pill to swallow, especially early in the season. If Jalen Mayfield is our starting right tackle, knowing he's only got those 15 games under his belt, but right now, at least for me, it's really hard to pass on Jalen Mayfield at pick 30.
Yeah, and it warms my heart to hear you coming around on him, because I know you not that you were anti Jalen Mayfield, but you weren't as into him maybe as I was earlier. But I'm glad to hear that, and I'm with you. Look, we talked about it last offseason. I always talked about this when it comes to like versatility of the offensive lineman. I was tired of having these like flexible guys that weren't great at anything. They were just versatile. Like I want a stud, be damned if he's versatile. The depth can be versatile. The Ike Butkers, if we bring him back, they can be your versatile interior guys. Like your Ty and Sekis can be your versatile swing tackles. Like give me a stud right tackle, and if that's all he does, I'm fine with it. If he's a stud, so if Jalen Mayfield could be that guy, and he has that potential to be a stud right tackle, then I'm all for making that selection. Assuming Daryl Williams, doesn't come back, which we don't know. He could be.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Oop,
We'll
we
see.
got a couple people coming in. Scott Vanilou saying Jalen Mayfield at 30. Yeah, I mean I'm on the wagon, Scott. I'm right there with you. And we got Joshua Richardson coming in saying, what is it? It's showing up there? There it is.
Yeah.
I can see us going to all our high cap guys, and this is something I wanted to bring up. So thank you, Josh. I appreciate it. And getting their salary turned into signing bonuses. White, Diggs, Dawkins might do that type of deal, and that's the thing. Brandon Beane doesn't want to have to do this. This is the New Orleans Saints approach, the kicking the can down the road. Because when you turn that money into signing bonuses and spread it out, it becomes guaranteed. So you got to be darn sure that these guys are going to be on your team for a long, long time. Now, guys like Trey White, guys like Deion Dawkins, those are all guys where, yeah, it probably makes sense to go to them. And I think we might see that in the coming week. By Monday, I think you could see Trey White and Deion Dawkins ink restructures. I think you could see Stephon Diggs extended by Monday. I think once, the Bills were quiet, like they were super quiet. And you're like, man, this team is up against it. What are they doing? What are they doing? And then all of a sudden the salary cap of 182.5 was announced, and boom, it was
they made
rubber
moves.
Met the road. They got moving. So I think that there are more moves coming by the end of the week. So it'll be interesting to see how much money the Buffalo Bills have to play with on Monday afternoon. And I really hope they announce it before Sunday, because me, Rico, and a bunch of other Buffalo Fanatics guys like Clay and Zach and either Nap or Bot, we're going to be doing a free agency preview show on Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening. So hopefully we'll know how much money the Buffalo Bills have to play with by then.
Yeah, and like I said, I mean, as of right now, they have about $8 million in cap space projected after the Milano contract hits per Spotrac. Because as of right now, it's like at 15.2, and we've got that 7 million cap hit number that was verified for Milano for 2021. So you're looking at 8 million, and then like you said, with the draft picks, you're gonna have to have a little bit more wiggle room there. So it'll be really interesting, like you said, to see what moves come in, and it may not just be guys that you think should be cut, like you said. Like you could see the big names that the Bills know are going to be here as the ones that get restructured, because, like you said, restructuring is a dangerous game. If you're like looking 2-3 years down the road and those guys end up being duds, right, and you get yourself into bad situations, but you have to be selective. And I think those guys you mentioned, Trey White, Dawkins, Diggs getting an extension, those are all guys that you expect to be with this team, at least for the next 6-7 years. So makes sense to me to kind of get that done in conjunction with maybe cutting a guy like Addison.
Yeah. Another question to you. This thought came to my mind today, and I'm like, there's no way. Like you mentioned, you know, let's hope the Buffalo Bills have a plan, but they obviously do have a plan. There's no way in hell that plan involves a rookie at right guard and a rookie at right tackle, right? There's
Can't,
no way.
can't. No, I mean, there's no way. Like one, it doesn't make strategically, it doesn't make sense for you to be forced into having to draft and probably spend early draft capital on both, right? Like if you expect a rookie to start, like you're not gonna pick a guy in the 7th round that you're expecting to start.
Mhm.
Like you're probably gonna pick him in the 2nd, 3rd round, and we don't have a 4th round pick. So in that scenario, you'll probably pick an O line with your 2nd round pick, and maybe like your 1st and 2nd round picks, or maybe your 2nd and 3rd round picks. So it's a slippery slope because there's no guarantee that the guys you want are going to be there. The draft always plays out differently than we expect. So I don't see that as the plan. Now the plan may be one or the other of Feliciano or Williams, and then do it with what they can in bargain bin free agency and or the draft. And so it may just come down to money for Williams or Feliciano. We fully expect that Feliciano would cost, less. I don't know how much less, but somewhat significantly less than Williams. So if the Bills see that and they're like, look, we're really up against it with the rookie contracts we got to bring in. No one else, like, we're going to keep Addison. We're not going to restructure him. Some of these other restructurings don't get done. They're kind of in a jam when it comes to re-signing one of those two guys, and they may end up having to sign the cheaper of the two. Now, I prefer Williams. I think they can still make it happen. I hope the plan in the background is that we bring back Williams and then we take someone in the interior in the draft
Mhm.
or sign a bargain bin interior lineman in free agency, at least as a stopgap to see what happens in the draft. But I mean, they obviously have a plan. Like this stuff's like, it's just speculation on our part at this point. But I
Mhm.
agree with you. It can't be two rookies. It can't be.
Yeah. Pierre says so many options, so little moolah. Yes,
Yeah.
that is the issue the Buffalo Bills are running into right now. And speaking of little moolah, I want to go back to the draft because Buffalo Fanatics released, a nice little graphic the other day outlining some of the players that the Buffalo Bills have met with. One name was not on there that I know the Buffalo Bills have had contact with, and that's Jack Anderson from Texas Tech.
Mm-hmm.
That's the name, in my opinion, that's the name to keep an eye on at guard. I think Jack Anderson in either the 3rd round or if the Bills can pick up a 4th round pick, that's the name to look at. The guy from Texas Tech has swing interior offensive lineman, can play left, right, center. To me, he's the guy to look out for guard. Now, they met with another player on that graphic, and that player was Joe Tryon from the University of Washington. I'm not a big fan of Joe Tryon. If anyone saw the BF War Room show with when it was me, Fern, and Donnie. Fern and Donnie loved Joe Tryon, and I wasn't a big fan. But since I seen Joe Tryon's name linked to the Buffalo Bills, I have now done everything I can to try to figure out how he makes sense to the Buffalo Bills. Because to me, I looked at Joe Tryon, I was like, this guy's a 34 edge rusher, because just he's a bendy guy. He doesn't have the most strength in the world. He's a very physical, very aggressive, very tenacious player. But I didn't really see a path for him as a 43 player. But in watching his film more and more, I think I figure out what the Buffalo Bills might want to do with Joe Tryon. And I think he's a guy the Buffalo Bills could be targeting around pick 60 in the 2nd round. And that is a guy to come in and to learn behind Jerry Hughes, to eventually take the mantle of Jerry Hughes as our bendy edge rusher. But
Mm-hmm.
in the meantime, early in his career, be used in a pseudo Lorenzo Alexander role where he can be utilized, on obvious passing downs, standing up and blitzing from the linebacker position. So I originally did not have Joe Tryon on my Bills big board, but he's there now and he's growing on me. So there are some pieces that we can find in the draft between Jack Anderson and Joe Tryon, guys we can maybe get later on, more so in Anderson's case, that can make an impact to make up for that lack of moolah.
Anderson for sure. Tryon, I'm with you. It's just like it's hard for me to justify. Like he's probably going to be a 3rd round pick, if not higher. I would imagine Joe
Mhm.
Tryon is. that he's going to be someone that you want to spend early draft. I consider anything first through third round, quote, early draft capital as a guy you want to come in and just be under the wing of someone when we're kind of in a Super Bowl window, right? Like I would want as much as possible for my guys that I pick in the first 3 rounds to contribute. But you're right. Maybe if he's there as like a situational rusher or like something like that, then that could make sense. A guy like him, because obviously we do need help in that department. But if he can play and serve multiple roles, then maybe that's why the Bills would find interest. Because I'm with you. I figured 3-4 OLB all the way, but can the Bills maybe are going to get a little more creative. Scott comes in with the super chat. Thank you, Scott, as always, with the super chats. He says, I wonder, you think by signing all these players to a long-term deal and they were over the cap this year, structures from these deals, I wonder what it would look like in 2022 cap, plus you signed Josh Allen to a long-term deal. Well, it seems like there's a thought process that the 2022 cap will likely be somewhere in north of 200 million or 200 million, sort of at a minimum. That will certainly help with, Josh Allen's potential future deal. I mean, that future deal is not likely to hit the books until 2023, but it certainly helps you, right? And in this Milano signing, as the cap kind of increases, gives you what I call like more operating leverage, right? It's like operating leverage is basically like you grow your revenues while you decrease your expenses, right? So in the case of the salary cap, the proportion in which Milano's salary or number against the cap increases should be less than the amount that the cap actually increases on the whole. So you would see like a more like a widening of that spread between the two, than even though in absolute dollar terms he's making he has a lower cap hit in 21. So my thoughts on that.
It'll be super interesting. Like I said, that option is most definitely kicking the can down the road. But hey, the rumor is after all these new TV deals come in 5 years, the cap is going to be 250 million, which is 70 million higher than it is right now. And
and then quarterbacks are going to start. Quarterbacks are going to start getting $70 million a year in that case.
Like I was just sitting around like the house, and I had NFL Network on, and Jerry Jones's press conference came, and they're like, hey, wink, wink, did you want to get this deal done before the new TV deals came in? And it was just kind of the running joke, because quarterbacks are going to get paid once that TV deal comes in. So the Buffalo Bills, whether this year or next, it would be fortuitous for the Buffalo Bills to get Josh Allen under contract. All right, so we were here to talk defensive free agents. We got really sidetracked by a bunch of Bills related stories today. We talked about Danico Autry. I mentioned Terrell Basham as guys I would like on the defensive. We mentioned Danico Autry as a guy the Bills have interest in, and I mentioned Terrell Basham as a guy that I liked. Are there any other edge rushers that sort of maybe in the middle class or bargain class that interest you a little bit?
Yeah, in the bargain class, someone like Vinny Curry interests me, right? I mean, he's an older guy, going to be 33 in this season, but he's played in that Jim Schwartz 4-3 defense in Philadelphia and has been pretty productive. I mean, he's only had 8 sacks over the last 2 years, but in his career, he's been a productive pass rusher, and he should come fairly cheap. And can play in a 4-3 scheme. I know they play as a slightly different, they play that kind of wide 9 in Philadelphia with Schwartz, but like he could fit as a 4-3 end that could come in on a bargain bin. We mentioned Morgan Fox previously as a guy, that's probably more in the middle tier. I don't think he's going to be a bargain. He's probably, I would imagine, going to get somewhere in the $5 million a year range. But another guy who's kind of interesting to me, former first-round pick Dion Jordan. We always you talked about Kerry Hyder for the Niners like the last time we talked about free agency, but Dion Jordan, kind of bounced around, didn't play. Former first-round pick, has the pedigree. He can play in that 4-3. He's gonna be 31 this season. He made under $1 million in 2020, so he's gonna be a bargain if you want to go for someone like that with some pass rush ability and some potential, right? Who never really lived up to his draft status, but a guy that you could bring in at a bargain, I think.
Yeah, you mentioned San Francisco guys, Kerry Hyder, but I'm on the Ronald Blair train. I
Yeah, I
think
know you like Ronald Blair.
Ronald Blair is a guy coming off that ACL injury. You know, he's going to be 2 years removed now, so I think that a guy like Ronald, Blair could be a real steal. And Andrew Miller even mentioned my guy. I'm going to keep banging this drum, Jadeveon Clowney. If you can get him on a cheaper deal, I mean, I'm talking like there's just no market for Jadeveon Clowney, and he's got to take absolute bottom of the barrel, like a $3-4 million deal for 1 year. I think I'd be interested in Jadeveon Clowney, and
I would be.
I made this comment on Twitter yesterday from our Bills guys account. Like, if the Buffalo Bills just didn't do anything in free agency until after the draft, there's gonna be some guys just sitting there like without a job who are either gonna have to sit out the year or take like $1 million from the Bills, right? Like, they're like, you know, part of me thinks like teams like Cleveland and the Jets and the Jaguars can just load up on a whole bunch of bargain bin guys, but also I feel like those guys are going to go shopping. So if they go shopping, they're not going to be able to add volume. They're only going to be able to add a few. So with really teams unable to add volume this season because of the cap restraints, by the time the draft is over, whoever's left, it's like, you're really going to sit out the year? Or you're going to come to Buffalo, play for, $1, $2, $3 million and, compete for a Super Bowl? I think the Buffalo Bills will be at a big advantage after the draft with all those free agents still sitting out on the street.
And I like for the people that are against Clowney, like, for that kind of money, tell me why. Like, why is he not worth the risk? He's certainly worth the risk. It's a low risk move. It'd be a 1-year deal. And the Bills would be part of some fun trivia because they would have had then signed two former number 1 overall picks, defensive ends in free agency, to their team that were both drafted by the Texans, and that was Mario Williams and Jadeveon Clowney. So, be a fun piece of trivia there as well.
All right, so we're not going to talk about linebackers because why bother at this point? But cornerbacks, what's left on the cornerback market that you think we could afford that might step in and compete for a CB2 role?
Man, I don't know if we can afford Xavier Rhodes now. That's the problem, because you're really in a bind if you go and sign Xavier Rhodes and you say that's pretty much the end of Feliciano or Williams, right? Like, you're not signing him. So
unless we free up a ton of cap space by kicking that can down the road with guys like White and Dawkins and all them getting extensions. But to me, that conversation ain't worth having until it happens.
I think a guy that would be interesting would be like a guy like Troy Hill from the Rams. I don't know how much, like, what kind of market he's going to have. He's age 30 going into this season. He obviously, has kind of played his best season this last season. He splashed and made those defensive touchdowns. Rams had a really good defense, right? And he graded out as the 27th best cornerback per PFF in 2020 overall. I don't think he's going to command a ton of money to the tune of like a Xavier Rhodes or a Richard Sherman as far as like veterans. So I could see a guy like Troy Hill, maybe a guy with attitude, a guy with some swagger who could play on the opposite side of Trey White if the Bills don't tender Levi Wallace, which they haven't as of yet, to come in and kind of compete with Dane Jackson at that CB2 spot. So Troy Hill. And then the only other guy I kind of had was, as far as like a bargain, would be Darqueze Dennard, former first-round pick. Never quite lived up to his hype, entering his age 30 season as well. Not really a big takeaway guy, but our CB2s really haven't been anyway. 45th best corner per PFF in 2020. So you're talking like he's still in theory like a starting caliber corner if you look at it that way. If you kind of say, okay, well, 64 starting outside corners, like he's in that bottom third, at the top of that bottom third. So he could be a guy that you look at as a bargain bin guy, again, kind of like a Deion Jordan situation where he's a former first rounder and never quite lived up to the hype, but likely could be had for cheap because of his age.
Yeah, we got Scott Blakely coming in saying, why do we need cornerbacks? I'm good with Wallace and Jackson. We have more pressing needs. Drafted cornerback in the 5th or the 6th round to develop. Well, technically,
We
Levi
don't
Wallace
have Wallace right now, technically.
he has not been tendered, his RFA tender. So his
Yeah.
RFA tender would cost us $2 million if we wanted to tender him at his original round, which is UDFA. So if we want to tender Levi Wallace, it's going to be $2 million against the cap. The Buffalo Bills have not tendered any of their RFAs. They re-signed Andre Smith to an extension. He was one of their RFAs. They have not signed Corey Bojorquez and brought in a punter in Michael Paraday from Carolina. They have not re-signed Ike Bucker or tendered Ike Bucker, and they have not tendered Levi Wallace. So for the longest time, I just assumed it was, it was a technicality that they were going to do it. But now the closer and closer we get to free agency, it's looking like they're going to let those guys hit the market and then see if they can bring them back for cheaper. I see a couple people in here mention Richard Sherman. He's probably going to push double digits despite his lack of play last year because of injury and his age, name recognition. The rumor has it he's going to push double digits.
He'll at least be in the 6 to 8 million range, I would expect. Sherman.
The very minimum Josh Norman range. But I saw someone mention Trufant. I think Randy mentioned Trufant. That's a name that you could probably get, on a minimum deal. Not a minimum deal, but a lower tier deal. Jason Verrett from San Francisco is a guy that I really like, a guy who was a former first-round pick of the Chargers. And every time he stepped on the football field, he dominated, but he always get hurt after like 15 plays. Like year after year after year, he would miss whole seasons. And he finally played
Nate Gary's guy too.
Yeah, he played a full slate last year for San Francisco and played very well. Yes. And then my guy is Michael Davis. I really like Michael Davis from the LA Chargers. I think he's a young corner that sort of gets forgotten about with all the talent over there on the Chargers defense. I think if you could get a guy like Michael Davis for the right price, he's a guy who can come in and kind of like Kevin Johnson a couple of years ago. He's got all the physical tools where if Sean McDermott and Leslie Frazier can mold him right, they can get kind of a bargain in a guy like Michael Davis at CB2.
I kind of wish we had just re-signed Kevin Johnson, to be honest with you, like when he was here.
I would have preferred him over Josh Norman this past season.
Oh yeah, for sure. I like Kevin Johnson. He was a former first rounder too, man. Also, fun fact, Kevin Johnson, Wake Forest, same school as our draft crush Boogie Carlos Basham. So just throwing some tidbits out there tonight. But yeah.
All right. One last thing before we head to the mock draft machine with Matt Milano re-signing on the mind. John Brown put himself in the news today talking to Solomon Wilcots on the radio on Sirius XFM. Solomon Wilcots said, talk to us about how it came to be that 2 years into a 3-year deal, and now you are on the free agent market. And I know the salary cap stuff all plays into this. What are the talks between you and your agent in terms of what transpired with the Bills? And John Brown responded, honestly, we didn't know nothing. We weren't given a heads up. But I'm a strong believer in God, and I just had a feeling it was going to come to that time, especially when the money dropped. And I dealt with a few injuries, so I missed like 5 games, so the team went 5-0 without me. But, different situations, the way things could have been handled, like, I don't know. If they gave Josh Allen input on it, he should have had input. Or if he had input, I thought he would want me to stay. A couple of things there. And I also can no longer remove the backdrop. So
I'll take care of it. I'll take care of it. Yeah, no problem.
A couple of things there. Number one, he literally mentioned on Instagram how he saw it coming from a mile away. Like, were the Buffalo Bills in the wrong here, not like communicating to him that, he was on the chopping block? Were the Bills wrong in not calling him 2 weeks ago and saying, hey, this is something that can happen? Or should his agent should have been telling him that all along?
Well, I mean, you would assume the conversations between the Bills front office are happening with his agent and not with him directly. Now, I don't know if it's their practice to talk to the players directly or to talk to the players and the agents together, but you have to imagine the agents fielding a predominant amount of these phone calls. I love John Brown, man. I do, but something doesn't feel right here. Like, I don't with the culture and everyone talking about how great it is in Buffalo, Micah Hyde, I talked about the Jim Rome bit that he spotted on Micah Hyde on his show yesterday when I was with Zbot. It's like, it doesn't add up to me right now. Like, obviously if you ask Josh Allen, he's gonna say he wants him back because like that's not a question of like can he be back? It's just do you want him back? Yeah, of course we want him back. But like it just the writing had to be on the wall here. Like I don't I'm not in the room. I don't know what conversations took place, but it certainly doesn't feel and sound right as far as like what he's saying versus what we're hearing from like all the other players and what people are
Mhm.
talking about the culture with the team and how they handle the relationships with their players. It just something doesn't quite feel right there to me.
Yeah, something doesn't add up because those shots at Josh Allen, those were shots. Those were shots at Josh Allen at the end of that conversation. In my opinion, he was saying like my quarterback didn't want me. Like that's essentially what it came off as. And I
I
really
see.
think those
I take
were
it differently. I take it
really.
differently. I take it as it was a way for him to basically deflect deflect the responsibility, I guess, of the front office to say like they should have asked Josh Allen, but they didn't, or something. Like I get your side too. I
Mhm.
get what you're saying, but it almost sounds to me like it was a way for him to say like, well, why didn't they check with the quarterback if he wanted me to come back? Like because the quarterback would have wanted me back,
Mhm.
meaning like I think it was actually a in support of Josh Allen and saying like you should have talked to my quarterback because he loves me and he wanted me back. But I could see your side as well. I could see both. I could see both sides.
Yeah, I mean, just to me, it just seems like leave Josh Allen out of it. Like I don't even know why he had to bring Josh Allen into the conversation at all. Like this had nothing to do with Josh Allen, and you know, I just wasn't a big fan of him throwing Josh Allen into the conversation. I didn't think it was necessary. But yeah, I mean, to each his own. I see a bunch of people are disagreeing with me in the comment section, so I'll take the L if that's what it means. But all
It's a
right,
small L.
with at the 56-minute mark, at the 56-minute mark here, we're winding things down. So we are going to do our annual at the end of the show mock draft, and this time we are going to be doing it with Matt Milano leaving the Buffalo Bills in mind. And I feel like since the Buffalo Bills are so cash strapped, Dave, I think we got to have trades in this one. What do you think?
We, yeah, let's do it. So we know Milano's back. So we're likely not looking at guys like Zaven Collins or Dylan Moses or the likes in the early rounds. So we are actually going to be able to mix it up a little bit here. So let me share my screen. We'll get the comment section rolling as well for their input. And let's load it up. Here we go. And I'll take care of sharing it since I know you're having issues. So
Yeah, the McDonald's
there we go.
Wi-Fi is not being kind to me here. Spectrum sucks.
There we go. Let me just give
31
it
to
one more zoom in so we can see. All right, that should be good. All right, here we go. So I'm gonna get this thing rolling, and we will go. Dude, it's fascinating. Oh, here we go. We got a trade offer.
Yeah, no.
The okay, just go ahead and decline that.
Yeah, we don't have that kind of capital anymore.
We're looking to move back
Yeah,
now.
oh
I
yeah.
think at this point. So let's see if anybody
No,
makes an offer for.
Jalen.
Okay. Okay, here's an interesting offer. The Eagles are offering us a second and third round pick for our first round pick here and our fifth round pick. Now, we only move down 7 spots, but we pick up a third and lose a fifth. Thoughts on this?
That's interesting. Are there other offers to look at before
Yeah,
we?
we could take a look at some of the others. The Bengals are offering us a second, a fourth, and a fifth for a first and fifth, but that's only to move down 8 spots, so one more spot than the other. That's a better offer, I think.
Yeah,
And then there's one other one. Wow, a second, fourth, and 2 sevenths for a first and a fifth. I kind of like the Bengals offer
yeah.
personally.
Take that first offer.
Yeah, let's take this Bengals offer. I think it's Bengals. Yeah, Bengals. All right, so we're going with this offer. Here we go. So we're moving back 8 spots. We're getting another call here. Now this is to move up 3 spots, give up a sixth. Thoughts?
Give up a six. See who's on the board.
All right. Let's see who's on the board. All right, we got Christian Barmore, Javonte Williams, Eichenberg is on the board. Newsome, your guy Greg Newsome, who I know you're getting a big chubby for. My guy Trevon
Dylan
Moehrig is on the board. I love
Dylan
Moehrig.
Radunes is my eyes on Dylan
Radunes,
Radunes.
Stokes. We can probably get Radunes if we don't trade, honestly.
Okay. Yeah, so decline it.
All right. So
my eyes on Radunes. I think Nate sold me on Eichenberg might not be able to flip over to the right side there.
Yeah, he did do a pretty good sell job on that. All right, we'll decline this. And we'll decline this. Okay. We are on the board and Radunes is available. I mean, I think that's got to be the pick, right? I mean, what did the comment section think here? Radunes, this again, we re-signed Milano. We only have about $8 million in cap space as of right now. Daryl Williams, John Feliciano, no guarantee they're back inside the building. What do we want to do here? Do we want to go with Radunes here?
We got someone saying Barrymore is a stud.
I mean, I don't disagree. Someone saying check interior O-line. I can check that.
Here's the thing. If you go to offensive tackle real quick before you go to interior, look at the drop off after Dylan Radunes. Look at the drop off after Dylan Radunes.
Yeah.
You're looking at
then some of these guys are interior guys. Like Carmen's an interior guy.
Mm-hmm.
Your guy Walker Little is out there.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I personally would go with, I mean, from a pure talent standpoint, I'd love to go Moehrig, but it's such a luxury pick that we don't. I mean, I don't know. Radunes is looking pretty good to me, or Creed Humphrey maybe, or Dickerson. But I don't know.
Someone says check edge. See what's available on the edge.
All right, I'll check edge. Let's see what we got. Ronnie Perkins, I know you like him. Joe Tryon is there, but again, I think these guys are likely to be had in the third. Some of them,
or at least with our other second round pick.
Right.
It seems like the people want. It seems like most of the people want Barrymore. So it's.
We got a Dickerson. We got Melifonwu. It's all over the board. Let's see. I mean, Dickerson isn't a bad option. I don't mind. I don't hate that pick. We got Radunes or Barrymore. Guys, we're going D-line. Big season from Epinesa year first. Perkins will not be there, says Tommy Rhodes. Oh man. I mean, I would probably go with Radunes here if it was me, if I was making the executive decision.
Yeah, my executive decision is Radunes, but I also want to give the people what they want,
So we go Barrymore. That's what they want.
You know what? Do it. Go Barrymore.
All right, fine. All right, people. We're going with the people here. That was like the predominant name we saw out there. So we went Barrymore there. Pierre says, who has the final say? The final say is who knows who has the final say. We're just kind of winging it here. So no one really has the final say. Probably going to decline this one. Second and a fourth for a second, third, and seventh. Don't love that. All right.
Rondale just went off the board. Dickerson just went off.
Moehrig's still there. Oh my gosh. Jamin Davis. We don't need to look at linebackers though. Look at this, man. Jamin Davis, Jabril Cox, Dylan Moses, all there. Ooh, Trey Smith on the interior. I like him.
Yeah, Tutu is tempting as well.
Eskridge is tempting. Hey, your guy Togiai.
Elijah Molden to me is tempting, but I don't know if he's tempting anyone else. Melifonwu would still be available.
Yeah, he's there. Melifonwu's there. I mean, that would be a fan favorite, I feel like. Man, Moehrig sitting out there, like standing out like a sore thumb to me, though. Trey Smith. We got a lot of Trey Smiths for the interior. Molden, slot corner, Smith. Richard Forbes says take Cox just because. I think we got to go Trey Smith. That's what the people want.
Get the people Trey Smith.
All right, we're going Trey Smith, people. You got him. We're going beef so far with this draft. with Barrymore and Trey Smith. No thanks, Panthers. Although if this was Bean, he'd probably do it since he loves the Panthers. So we should have no thanks on that one. Okay. God, someone's going to get a steal in Morig here. How has he not been taken? Oh, there he goes. Frickin' Browns. Ugh. All right, now I'm going to decline this. All right, so now we've got Hamza's on the board. The linebackers, again, that we like, we don't need. Surratt, we don't need him. Michael Carter, running back. Kenny Gainwell, quarterback, is available. Ali McNeil, but we went Barmore already. Shelvin, we went Barmore. Do like Andre Cisco. Demujike,
Trill
KG
Williams.
is available. Trill Williams is available. I do like Trill Williams. I kind of like all three of these guys right here, 104, 105, and 106. What did the people say? Spin saying Shelvin, we already got Barrymore. So why don't we? I mean,
what's there at wide receiver?
All right, let's take a look at wide receiver. Tylan Wallace. I like him.
Felton?
I do like Tylan Wallace. I do like Felton too. I think I actually like Wallace more, but I could get on board with Felton if the people want Felton.
To me, it's down to Felton or Trill Williams.
All right, people. Felton or Trill Williams. Some people are saying Kenny Gainwell. That's also an option. He could play, he could play receiver too if you need be. We got Gainwell or Felton. Tommy Rhodes is saying Hamza. I do like Hamza. We all know that. Another Gainwell. I think the people either want Gainwell or Felton, man. That seems to be what the people want. There's one for Trill.
Yeah, I take Gainwell.
Okay, let's go with.
I like his upside more.
Kenny G, the new Kenny G. Got him. All right, and we got another pick coming up here. Okay, nope, not gonna do that.
See if Walker Little's still on the board.
Man, Aaron Banks is still there. Mukwamu, why can I never say his name? Mukwamu is still available. That's Craig / Randy's guy. Who'd you ask to see who was still on the board?
Walker Little.
Yeah, he's available.
I would pull the trigger on Walker Little.
I love that. Yeah, I actually do love that. These other picks seem more like luxury picks, although CB2 would be nice. Ooh, Patrick Jones. I'm a Patrick Jones fan. I know you are too, but maybe we got to beef up. We got to beef up that tackle position. What are the people saying? We've got need that CB. Wyatt Hubert, he's going to be available later. I do like Wyatt Hubert as an edge guy, but he'll be available later. Need that CB. Kendall says take Patrick Jones. I do love Patrick Jones.
Griffin is a good cornerback as well. Got a lot of littles.
I do like Darren Hall, Pierre. I do like him. He says the Bills just came in, that they're meeting him. John Herring says improve the pass rush. The problem we have, I think, is that if you pass on Walker Little here, you're not getting a tackle in this draft unless you go for Drew Himmelman super late. So what do you think? Should we just give the people what they want again and go with Patrick Jones? I don't know. I think I lost you.
Sorry, I was getting a phone call. Let's go with Walker Little here.
Walker Little. The people want Patrick Jones, I think. Should we go with Walker Little anyway?
Yeah, we're making the executive decision.
We're making the call here. We're going Walker Little. I know you have a big man crush on him, so we're doing it. All right. So let's just do a quick recap while we're waiting. We got Barrymore with our first pick, Trey Smith, Kenny Gainwell, and Walker Little. So we got three beefy guys, and then we got the special sauce guy and Kenny Gainwell with him sandwiched in between there. So let's see what we've got now. Oh, Rodarius Williams would be a nice pick here, I think. I like Rodarius.
Where is Hall on this board here from San Diego State? Where is he on the cornerback board?
267. They have him listed as a safety on here.
Uh-huh.
I mean, Rodarius Williams, I really like. Daz Newsome's available. Marlon Williams is available. Watt Filer's available. Shai Smith's available. Shaka Tony, I like him as well.
Who are the corners? Who are the corners available?
Rodarius Williams would be my pick if we were going corner.
What do we got at the edge?
Weaver, your guy Chauncey Golston is
Weaver
available.
and Golston are both pretty good players. What do we got at wide receiver? I say we go Daz. The Bills met with Daz, right? The Bills like Daz.
Yeah, I like Daz here. Here. Get another playmaker. We're missing John Brown. I know he's more of a slot guy, but hey, never hurts to add playmakers. I know Craig/Randy's going to be mad if we don't go with Shai Smith here, but let's go Daz.
Yeah.
All right.
The Bills met with Daz. That's the tiebreaker.
The Bills met with Daz. Let's see what kind of edge is available with our next pick, I think. People are screaming at us that we need an edge rusher, D-line. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and decline this. All right. Edge. Golston's still available. I think that's a home run, right?
Cooper gives you a little bit of pass rush pop. But Golston definitely meets the set the edge, inside outside flex type of player. So ask the people who they prefer, Cooper or Golston.
All right. Who do we like, everyone? And Angel Garcia is still banging the Wyatt Hubert drum. And look, don't get me wrong, I like Wyatt Hubert, but I think he's more of like a late day 3 guy. Nate Wilson says Cooper. That's really the only.
Got 2 Golstons and a Cooper, 2 Coopers and 2 Golstons.
Oh man.
We're gonna need some tiebreakers here.
There's another Golston. We got another
Golston.
Oh, Tommy Rhodes is bashing us. Daz is the best pick he made all night. Another Golston. I think we're going Golston here.
All right. Hey, I like all of these picks.
I actually like. I mean, we probably wouldn't take Barrymore, but at 38, that seems like kind of a steal.
Yeah.
All right. Like, look, I mean, it's so easy to kind of just mock the same guys every time because they're going to be there. So we like to mix it up.
Late corner, I like the guy from Oregon, not Lenoir, but the other one, if he's still on the board, Graham. I like Thomas Graham Jr. I'm a big fan of Thomas Graham Jr., but
and I like Bynum. I like Cam Bynum, but yeah, Thomas Graham still available over Lenoir. Yeah. All right, let's see what else is out there. We've got Darden is available. We did get Newsome.
Cade Johnson.
I love Cade Johnson.
He gives me Tyler Lockett vibes, man.
Yeah, I really like Cade Johnson. Dax Milne. Rumpf is out there. I don't know. It seems like the way I think maybe we got to go with CB here, right? I mean,
yeah.
Darden, yes. People are saying Marcus Stevens. I'm pretty sure Stevenson's gone. Oh, he is not gone. He is still available. We did get Daz Newsome already, so you're kind of, I don't know if you need that, if you have the luxury of taking Stevenson as well. But what do you think here? You think CB?
I'm thinking CB.
Graham? You like Graham?
Yeah, I'm a Graham guy, but that's just me.
All right. Tommy Rhodes says, did Rochelle go get picked? No. Abby and Kendall say go CB, go CB. John Herring says any tight ends left. Let's see if my guy yes, Carrie Angeline is still available. Ooh.
Plus there's Paul John, my favorite Lee Smith clone. Down there late.
My favorite Lee Smith clone is Schoner. He's way down there. Man, we got some options here. We got some options. I think the people want CB though, so let's go with CB. We're getting asked, is Rochelle there? Yeah, Rochelle is there. People
I
want
don't like him in the
Rochelle.
Bills scheme.
Kendall says try to grab Angeline in the 7th. Yeah, that's not bad. Cisco is not there. Angel Garcia. So yeah, Kendall, I do like Bynum. Tommy Rhodes says Cade Johnson or Cornell Powell. I mean, we did take Daz Newsome, so I don't know.
I mean, I wouldn't mind doubling up with Cade, but that's a lot of capital on wide receivers in 2 years.
Yeah. Smiles Blake says Graham. Let's go with Graham because I think you wanted Graham. So let's go with Graham. I think that's it.
No, we got 7th round pick, don't we? Or
Oh,
did we
no.
trade it?
Oh, yeah. No, you're right. We did. We do still have it. Yep. It's coming up here. And let's see. Cade Johnson might still be available. Carrie Angeline might still be available.
Tight
Yeah,
end.
Carrie Angeline's the
Oh,
top
take
10 on the
Carrie.
board. Yeah,
Take
let's do
Carrie.
it. Gotta rep my Wolfpack, everyone. For that doesn't know, in the comment section, I am an NC State Wolfpack alum. That's solid, I think. I mean, I would not complain at all about this.
Tommy Rhodes would. I think Tommy Rhodes would.
Yes, Tommy Rhodes hates us. I mean, that's a fact. He definitely hates us. So there's our draft. Barrymore, Trace Smith, Kenny Gainwell, Walker Little, Daz Newsome, Chauncey Golston, Thomas Graham, and Carrie Angeline. I like it, man, personally.
Yeah.
I
I
think
mean,
it's
Barrymore
good.
was a luxury, but you couldn't pass him up. And then from there, like Trey Smith could be competing for day one spot in the interior. Kenny Gainwell can come in and play that joker role early and often. Walker Little is your swing tackle. Hopefully, you have Darrell Williams or another veteran back like a Matt Filer or Riley Reef or Ricky Wagner. You got Daz Newsome, who can return kicks and punts, play the slot. You got Chauncey Golston, who could be your DN number 4. You got Thomas Graham, who can compete with Dane Jackson for CB2 probably right away, in my opinion.
He'd
And
be
then
like
you got
this year's Dane Jackson.
Yeah, and then you got Carrie Angeline late, who is a guy who can work the seam, which I think works in a good companionship with Dawson Knox, who does the underneath stuff.
And let me throw another little nice thing here. If you do draft Barrymore, maybe you still could cut Vernon Butler potentially. So we'll see. But yeah, I mean, we're always gonna have people that don't like it, but hey, I thought it was pretty good. I kind of like it.
Speaking of not liking it, Bobby Ray in the comment section saying the sound from Judge's Wi-Fi makes me want to kill myself. So
it's okay because the show's over. So you're not gonna have to hear it anymore.
All
so
right.
that's it.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, it has been real. Next time you see me, you'll see my actual face again. I will be live again on Sunday night with Rico and Clay and Zach and I believe Zbot. It's either him or Nap, and we will be breaking down free agency, which it's here. It begins Monday, so
and don't forget.
Yeah,
don't miss that, and also don't miss the Buffalo Fanatics had an exclusive video interview with Brother Bill yesterday. That's now on Twitter, so check that out. Zbot and I interviewed Brother Bill from Twitter jail, and that's available. It was a good conversation with him, so don't miss that either.
Yeah, D Handsome will be live on Sunday afternoon, previewing free agency. So we got you guys covered tomorrow night. Tyler Matakevich, exclusive interview, and then Sunday with that free agency preview. So we got you covered. Nap knows Bills tomorrow morning too.
And Jeff King says, guys, great show. Please send me your PayPal info. We'd rather you guys benefit from the full amount. Rico has my number. Same with Miller and Pierre. If you talk to them, thanks. Yeah, Jeff. I mean, I can. I'll message you on. Can you message people on YouTube? I don't even know. But
he says Rico's got his number. We'll contact you through the man himself, Rico.
Yep. Okay. Cool. Sounds good. Thank you, Jeff. We always appreciate that, and that should pretty much do it for tonight.
All right. So thank you guys. Have a good one. Next time the two of us see you, the Buffalo Bills, we might have some rumors of a signing by the next time we see you guys. So Until next time, and Dave, you're going to have to end the broadcast.
I will do it. Don't worry.
Until next time, go Bills.
Go Bills.